Yes, I understand that laws are here for a reason. But I don't think what you understand is I'm willing to give you a bonsai tree to make this thing go away. A nice bonsai tree. Oh, settle down. Okay, how about a nice urn? What if I give you an urn? The 4 value. Okay, you're being irrational now. Listen, I will give you a 7 value. Listen, statue of the Buddha. It's you're being you no, you sound crazy. It's a 7 value statue. Whatever. This is Gugong, and this is a big board. We can't get real close on it when we do a big wide shot like this, but we'll get into the different zones. Right off the bat, though, I'm going to tell you right now, there is a travel zone, a Great Wall zone, a Jade area. We also have a area called the Intrigue. There is the Palace of Heavenly Purity. There's also a place with decrees, and then finally there's a Grand Canal. So all those areas of this board are going to be kind of functioning uniquely from each other, but interacting with each other. All of them being ways to earn points in this game. For setup, you're going to place down tiles where tiles go. This is basically on the travel area and the decree area. And these will be randomized. We're also going to place Jade into the Jade area. Players will put their wooden bits and things in the places where they belong on the board. Finally, we're going to randomize the starting cards and place them in different locations throughout the game. Players start the game with a player board, which has its own kind of unique areas to it. It has a travel token area. It has a round overview area. It has a servant pool, a discard area, end of game scoring diagram, and then harbor rewards area. Players are also going to get a set of 4 cards based on their place in the player order. This player would be first player, based on having this cool token. The first player would also get these cards with the fan blade filled in the first spot, and then the second player would get the 2 fan blades, the 3 fan blades filled in for third, etc. And these kind of help balance the game a little bit, help to make the turn order work out. This game isn't really all that complicated. There's a lot of things going on, but they're all fairly simple. And the symbols in this, once you figure out how to decode them, you're going to be able to use it as a really good player guide, player aid kind of thing. So for example, there's a day and a night phase. At the very top of the board here, we see that there is a diagram that tells us all the steps. And these symbols appear all throughout the game. And we're going to be able to use those symbols to try and do all kinds of different stuff. So the overall idea of this game is that I'm going to be exchanging gifts with officials in the city to make things happen. So the idea is that at some point they outlawed the idea of giving money bribes because they were trying to clean corruption out of the government, but they weren't trying that hard. So you can still give gifts to people to make things happen. So here in this traveler area, there's a 4. So I need to play a card better than a 4 there in order to go there and get the benefit. Well, that's not entirely true, but I have a 5 and a 9 here. So I can play the 5. The most simple way to do that would be I play the 5. This 4 that I just took goes in my discard pile. That allows me to do this, whatever it says here. So if I just place the gift there, I get to move my traveler 1 spot and take the travel chit associated with the spot I took, put it into my player area, get the benefits from it. And that's my turn. If I wanted to go additional spots, I could pay servants, which are kind of like another currency in this game, to get a better benefit. I also could have done this. So I could have put a card that is worse than the one out there, or equal to the one out there, and paid additional servants to do that. So I could have put this 2 out there even, and paid additional servants in order to get the benefit of that spot. So I could have paid 2 servants, or I could have put this card out there, not taken the benefit of that place and just taken this card and just not taken action. It's a way to just exchange cards and get better cards. So there's a bunch of ways in this game that you can use these card exchange mechanisms. But the most common one, I feel like, is you play an upgraded card there and then take the actions associated with it. So in the traveler area that we've been looking at, you're simply going to move your traveler and take whatever icon chit thing that is setting there when you arrive. If it's an empty spot, you lose out. But usually there's going to be full stuff out there because this is one of the few areas of the board where it does refill. The Jade area of the board is one of the areas that does not refill. So this basically says give workers, if you upgrade that spot, you can then pay workers or servants in order to get 1 Jade. So it starts off pretty cheap. You can play 2 servants down or discard 2 servants out of your play area in order to get Jade from here, then 3, then 4, then 5. And the 5 spot is infinite. It's always got Jade available to it at 5, but that becomes very expensive. Jade has a conversion at the end of the game where you're going to get a lot of victory points for it if you can get 5 or more of them. And even at getting 1, you're going to do okay, but you really want to hit like upper numbers like 5 to really get the Jade to score points for you very well. I'm going to skip around a little bit because this area is impacted so heavily by the Great Wall. This is the intrigue track. The intrigue track, you exchange your card like you do anywhere else. If you're the first person to do it, you take this silver medallion, and this silver medallion indicates you're going to be the first player in the next round. This is all deluxe edition stuff, by the way. So if you buy the base retail game, you're not going to have some of these components in there. But then you're able to move your intrigue track token up 1 spot. Or if you pay a servant, look at this, you can move it up 3 spots. So you want to get up this intrigue track because when the Great Wall resolves, you're going to be able to get some nice benefits from it. So the benefits are laid out up here, just up a little bit, where it shows what we can do. So up here it says if you move this down 1 spot, you get a servant back. If you move it down 3 spots, you get 2 servants back. And if you moved it down 5 spots, you'll be able to redo one of the die up there. We haven't even talked about the die yet. And then for 7, you could get one of those Jade. So that's a chance for you to get some points, get some things moving for you, do some things that are positive for you. And it's not a bad place to just kind of at least exchange a card, or also to maybe just store some stuff up for a benefit later. One other thing I want to mention about this area before we move on is this area also has a card that has the 1 servant icon down here. So there's card benefits and there's location benefits. So sometimes cards will have a location benefit. Like this one allows you to take a servant into your pool. Other ones show another location, so you can take the action of that location as well. So a lot of times cards that have a lower number on them will really give you a nice benefit for basically not being so strong. Sometimes cards that are strong even have a nice benefit on them too. So that's another thing we have to look at when we're exchanging our cards. All right, now back to more of a sequential order here. This is building the Great Wall. So the Great Wall is going to trigger once enough people are there to build it, and then it's going to resolve. Where the person who has the majority on there is going to be able to move their worker up the track for Heavenly Purity, and they're also going to score 3 points. But then additional players are going to get an opportunity to use their intrigue, move their intrigue down and get their intrigue to do things for them. So if you contribute it to the wall, you can use your stored intrigue. And that's basically just a little area majority kind of game over there. We definitely need to talk about the Palace of Heavenly Purity. This is a very simple place to go. You put a card down, you move your guy up 1 step. If you pay 2 workers, you can go up an additional step, plus get an intrigue. This is something that is really interesting about this game. If you aren't able to be pure by the end of the game, you can't win the game. It's impossible. You could have 1 billion victory points, but if you aren't at the top of this, you're not going to get an opportunity to win the game. So there are several steps to get to the top. And if you're the first one up there, you're going to get to put your guy in the highest available victory point spot to get some victory points at the end of the game. Also, once you've achieved that, any actions that require you to move up steps on the intrigue track are going to allow you to get victory points instead. There are 2 kinds of victory points in this game. The symbol with the purple center is in-game victory points. The one that's kind of a flower-looking one with the red in the middle are immediate victory points. So I think that's kind of neat how they did that. It keeps you from being confused about, hey, when do I score points, now or later? So pretty cool. But this is the Palace of Heavenly Intrigue, I think, or Heavenly Purity is what the name of this area is called. You have to get to the top of it if you want to be sanctified and made pure enough that you can win the game. This is the decree area. There are some very nice things that happen in this area, but they're very pricey as well. So the decree area, basically when you go there, you have to pay one worker, or the amount of workers it says in the tile, plus one additional worker for every other worker present already. So let's take a look at this one right here. It says that you need to pay 3 servants to go there. So I'm paying 3 servants to start. Let's just say that blue had a servant there. That's not a servant, but let's say there was a blue worker there already. So I'd have to pay 1 additional servant for that person being there. Then pay 1 more servant to go up here. So I'm paying 5 servants in total in order to get that benefit from there. But those benefits are usually very good. Very good benefits that happen and reoccur throughout the game. So this is where you're going to get kind of like your player powers or ongoing powers. And they're really generally worth doing. Especially if you can do them early enough when there's not a lot of people there. So very expensive, but very big benefits. The final area that we're going to look at, and probably the one that's the most complicated, is the Grand Canal. So the Grand Canal, we put out there, initially you put the boats out on the canal, and the first starting spot is off screen. So you'd start on the first spot. I'm not starting on the first spot, just so I can show you in screen here what it looks like. You can place 1 worker into a boat and place it onto the canal. Then later you can go here, pay 1 worker, 1 servant to put 2 servants into a boat. Once your boat is full, you're able to, once there's 3 servants in a boat and you reach a destination that you like with a benefit you want, you could have one of your people disembark and go into your play area to indicate you took one of these rewards. These are the 3 basic rewards you can get: victory points, an additional card, which actually kind of translates into an extra worker, and then also the double worker, which the double worker is pretty interesting, really. They give you a chance to get better majorities on the wall. They fill up more spots in your boat, so they're pretty powerful as well. But they have to be, it's kind of nuanced on how to use them. So this game overall has a lot of little areas of the board going on, a lot of little mini competitions or small games happening on one big board, but they do tend to interact with each other, and it's pretty interesting overall. This core mechanic of exchanging your cards, having to upgrade the cards in order to get the action, or pay an additional cost, pretty cool. So if there wasn't enough for us to think about with this day and night phase stuff going on, there's also another thing yet, and that is we have to do our day and our nighttime phases, and that includes the die. So the die, we rolled them, and we placed them up there. We have a 2, 3, and a 6. So what that means is we're going to get 1 additional worker for every 2, 3, or 6 that we have in our discard pile. So we're exchanging these cards, but at the same time, we're trying to remember that 2s, 3s, and 6s are going to get us a benefit at the end of the round. So we do that. We get the workers back. Not only that, if you're really good at this and you have the most matches, you get 3 victory points and you get a free movement on the palace. So something definitely 100% worth looking at and trying to do during the course of the game, for sure. Then we go back to the day phase. In the day phase, we're going to decide who the first player is going to be. So whoever got that silver token is going to get the gold token and be first player. We're going to refill the traveler area. We're also going to roll the die. And then we're going to execute any of those decree tiles that would happen at like end of round or beginning of round. So that is basically the game in a very quick package. There's more to it than that, really. When you start playing, the nuance of the game really comes out. But that's an overview. Not really even a rules explanation, but just an overview of the game. Let's get back in the studio now, and I'll tell you what I think of it. So Gugong, that's kind of how you play the game. And I hope you guys have a general understanding of the game from that. Let's get right into it, I guess. I think this game is really cool, and it gets better the more I play it. And I was really disappointed with it at one point, but I think I'm getting more interested in this game all the time. So this is what I call worker trick taking this game. It's kind of cool how you have to decide what you want to give up out of your hand in order to get the worker placement to trigger. And so it's like, do I want to let my opponents get this really good card and only get this small crummy card back in return? But I really need to take that action. So like trying to figure out how to balance, how do I lay these cards down? Which cards do I utilize when? It's all like a really interesting set of like, I guess, actions and just different things you can do to try and I don't know, just it's really neat how that interaction between players happens that way. And it's almost like your meeples are all uniquely individual that you would place into your worker placement. So I really like how the cards replace like just standard little wooden chunks for worker placement in this game. Then the worker placement stuff in this is pretty simple. So it's got like a next steps complexity for the worker placement stuff, if even. But that card mechanic, if people can get that card mechanic, this game's really not that complex. So it's a good next steps game, based on just you know, if you can figure out how to get people to understand we're upgrading these cards or doing something a little different where you could use some of your servants and not upgrade it, or you know, and just figuring out how to. I mean that card play is just so interesting. Figuring out how, you know, I need to ditch this too. So I'm going to use some servants now, but I know it's going to cost me because I need those servants for over here. But I'll have to forego that. But I really need to get that 8. So I'm going to ditch these 2 servants to get rid of this 2. And you know, I mean, just all that thought process is really cool in this game, and it's not present in many other games. I think it's pretty unique in that. So I like that a lot, and it has a good complexity that's like not super hard. It's not thinky for the sake of being thinky. It all makes logical sense. So people can understand this game pretty quickly, but it does have a lot of really cool thought in it. So it has amazing components. Mine's a Kickstarter edition. It's on Kickstarter right now. If you're seeing this video in the first few days, it's come up. I will put a link to the Kickstarter below. The Kickstarter edition, I think I only paid maybe $10 more for that deluxe Kickstarter edition. And I think it's definitely worth it. You get wooden tiles in there. You get metal pieces. You get cool first player markers. I just think everything in this game is a little bit like I've never felt a box thicker than this box. The cardboard on this box, it almost feels like it's made out of really thin wood. It's just so dense, the cardboard, and just so good. So the Kickstarter edition on this, I sometimes think it's a gimmick to just get the little extra miniatures and stuff. This one, I don't feel that way at all. I feel like this game has amazing components, especially the Kickstarter edition. So really love it. Super high player interaction in this game, especially for a Euro game. That whole, like, I don't want to give up these cards, and then I'm going to get these cards. And then also there's tracks that we're all kind of racing on. There's just such high player interaction in this game. And you have so many choices on where you want to try and take your wins at and where you want to, like, give up a little bit to other players. And so I think all that player interaction is what makes this game really fun. There's not a lot of player interaction in a 2-player game. I feel like it feels like a ghost town kind of. It's like, well, you're going to go do the canal, and that's cool, because I'm going to be up here using the Traveler, and we aren't going to interfere with each other a lot. And we're both on the Heavenly Temple track, but like we don't fight each other there much. And I don't know. And the Intrigue track I'm taking, but you're going to go ahead and take the Decrees. I mean, like, so I feel like there's so many areas on this board that at 2 players you don't interact as much as you would otherwise. Whereas when you're playing with 4 or 5 players, you always have someone in each of those different areas doing something with you. So I think the player interaction being as high as it is a real huge strength of this game, and it's a necessity for this game to be as good as it can be. So at 5, this game plays very well. At 4, this game plays amazing. It's my selected player count probably. And then at 3, we'll see. It's not as good at 2 for sure. So I would say don't play this one at 2 the first time you play it too. That's what happened to me. So this thing sat on the shelf for a long time. I thought, you know what, I need to give that one another crack. Played it at 4 players, and I was like, whoa, this is an entirely different game at 4 players. And I really liked it. So this game, I do like it a lot. And I think it just keeps getting better the more I play it. First few times I played it, first time I played it, I told you it went abandoned for a while. Second time, yeah, okay, there's something here. Third time, fourth time, fifth time, it just kept getting better. I kept seeing more and more nuance in this game. And this game's, I think, new enough and innovative enough and unique enough that I think that kind of was like, okay, there's something here. I get this now. So that's really cool. And I just think, I don't know, it's something that I want to keep playing for sure at higher player counts. So let's put some numbers on this thing about how much I do like it. The accessibility of this game, it's kind of a little heavier family game. It's I don't know, I don't think it's quite in that family weight game, but it's not heavy either. So it's like between them, kind of a squarely medium type game. Good for gamer groups where you guys aren't looking for something too heavy, but enough that makes you challenged and want to think about what's going on. A really cool interactive game too. Like, you interact with each other a lot. So the theme on this game is really cool. I like the idea of like it being Imperial China. Just the art makes you feel the theme more. The whole world is really cool. I'm personally kind of tired of the Mediterranean. I'm kind of tired of the space stuff. So I think this one being a little different theme is really cool for me. I really like that. I give this game a 4 out of 5 for the fun. It's a really fun game. There's games that I enjoy more and have just more pure fun, but this game has a lot of fun present in it, and a 4 out of 5 is a really, really strong rating. I mean, that's a B. So really good. The replayability of this game, I'm giving it a 4 out of 5 as well. There is an expansion on Kickstarter right now, and I'm guessing that would probably kick this up to a 5. So if you really want to have a game with super high replayability, maybe check out that. Again, that expansion is on Kickstarter, and you can get the deluxe edition that I showed in this video on that Kickstarter. So I'll have a link below for that if you really want to kick this up to a 5. But in its present state, I'm going to give it a 4. It's got decent replayability. The way how the cards come out differently every time, and there's enough board there that you want to explore it more. I just think it's got good replayability. The design and the art in this game gets a 5 out of 5. It's insane. Like, the design and the art in this game it's just insane. I think it's amazing. Just totally amazing. So, design and art, 5 out of 5. Components are over the top. This is, like, honestly the touchstone of what I think an over the top, awesome, well done, but functional and useful Kickstarter Deluxe Edition should look like. So, the components in this aren't just like, what's the point of that? They just are genuinely upgraded and functioning better components in this game over the other ones. I didn't even show this. There's game tray inserts in the Deluxe Edition. Love that. Every player just hand him a little game tray, and all their stuff's right there. And the insert's just really good otherwise too. So 5 out of 5 on that for sure. So where do I put this one at overall? A 4 out of 5, which is really good. And that's something where I think that 80% of people who are really involved in gaming and watching this would really benefit from getting a chance to play this game and see if it's for you. I think it's going to be for most people. I think it's just a really good game. Overall, I really like it. 4 out of 5 is an excellent rating, to be honest. So, again, it's that like B, like really good rating. And it keeps getting better is kind of the thing too. So this game, it's certainly possible that in a year it's a 4.5, or I don't think it'll be a 5, but a 4.5 out of 5 in a year. It's definitely possible. I don't give 5s out like at all, practically. So this game could just continue getting better. And I will say this about it. I have this like limited shelf space in my life, and I think we all have that. So I'm at my end. Like, I completed my collection, and I have my shelves full, and I'm not willing to give up more in my house for more shelves yet. So I think this is going to be a game that sticks around for quite a while, and it's in that limited real estate I've got. So I'm keeping my collection at around 350 games, and this one's going to hang out in that 350. So if you really start thinking about it, having 350 games only in your collection, you've got to keep really awesome games, especially when you figure like at every convention 40 new games come out. So this game's an upper tier game, and it's going to stay in the collection for a while. And I do think it keeps getting better. And this might be one I revisit in a year and say, you know what, it's a 4.5. Or I might revisit with the expansion and say, man, this game's perfect now. So we'll see. But it does keep getting better, and I do love it. And speaking of love, thank you for your love for the board game mechanics. If you're a fan of ours already and you've subbed, man, you guys are awesome. You're part of the family practically. So love that. If you haven't subbed, maybe think about it. Also, I'll have a link below to our podcast, which we do weekly as well. It's a lot of fun to listen to if you've got a car trip or something and you want to listen to another voice about board games. Maybe check that out. Anyway, I've been Joe with the Board Game Mechanics, and keep gaming.